I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to center and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 on WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling this morning. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is the Alabama One hotline. We're live, local, and ready for this free-for-all Friday. Hope that you are as well. For those of you who tune in on the live stream, you can go ahead and add your thoughts, your comments, your questions, maybe a topic you'd like to hit or talk about today. We'd love to have you added into the conversation. So remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. The playbook for today, of course, is a free-for-all Flashback Friday. Got a little roster management and recruiting. Who's in, who's out. Bama goes to Rupp. And how EA Sports is responsible for the entire college debacle. That's a pretty strong statement. Is EA Sports responsible for the entire debacle of college sports? We'll talk about it. We'd like, once again, to invite you to get in on get in on the conversation. And once again, that's at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Good morning, X. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Good. All right. Let's keep the conversation going. Of course, I know some of you, I didn't specifically mention it, but a hot button topic out there, of course, is Eli Gold. He said, they said, he said, he said. Who's right, who's wrong? We definitely can talk about that. I've tried to help bring some balance to that topic over on Facebook under my page, Martin Houston 35 fan page, and my personal page, Martin J. Houston 35. But people have made their mind up that the university was 100% wrong in what they did and how they did it. I'm not so much. I love Eli Gold. I think he's awesome. I think he deserves to be celebrated. But people need to understand that contracts are made for a reason. There's a reason you have endings to contracts. And there was a reason that, this June X represented the end of Eli Gold's contract. I was thinking, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, Eli's 70, right?
Yes, sir, he's 70.
Do you understand that, part of the reason that began the conversation around Coach Bryant's retirement?
I'm going to guess because he was also turning 70?
He was, yeah, and at that time, a state employee could not work past 70.
Hmm.
I mean, it was such a big deal that he was going to retire. It eventually, the circumstances around what all happened eventually led to him offering to coach past his retirement for free. Supposedly, they even passed a law with his name specifically in it that gave the board of trustees and the university the ability, uh, the legislature did pass that he could, they could choose to vote to let him work past that. And I only point this out because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. The greatest to do any and everything from a human standpoint, the greatest to have ever done it, no matter who they are, have all come to an end. Sometimes that end has come mutually. We've seen that this year. Saban mutually with the university bowed out. Other times it comes to an end and it doesn't end pretty. We saw that with Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno. They stayed too long, in my opinion. Then you have some combination thereof, like a Tom Brady. His came to an end, but it didn't come to an end where he was at. And why do you think that was? It was egos involved. It was egos involved on both sides. And then there's others that come to an end tragically. And what I mean by that is which one party or both parties will not drop their egos. And my question is, which one of those describe what we're watching right now? It's sad, it's disappointing, but I don't think all the blame, X or Justin, is on the university. Fans out here saying he was fired. I put up a thing. I didn't create the image. It says "Happy Retirement, Eli Gold." I was trying to keep it positive, and so I asked them guys. I said, "Should I have put none renewed? Happy none renewed, Eli?" Because to me, the university tried to not come out and say we none renewed Eli Gold. Most non
Yeah.
renewals, most non renewals X come up. Why? Because the two parties can't agree. This was a contract negotiation in Alabama, folks. And the university have to look at the future, not just next year, and look at how do they move things forward. Like it, love it, or hate it, Chris Stewart had to be a part of that negotiation and conversation. And I don't know what happened behind those closed doors, but I hate the way it's happening right now. I think that the university may could have done more, but I also think Eli could have handled it differently. I know he's hurt. I know he's disappointed, but Proverbs 18:17, and I'll preach it till the day I go home. He who presents his case first, X, always seem right until the rebuttal. Every time you watch a court case on television, X and Justin, when the witness is being examined by his side, he always seems right till the cross examination comes. And the university has chosen to take a higher road, and I don't know if that's because they messed it up or is because they just trying to save a future relationship. Your thoughts? I know I went long, but I had to get that out for everybody. Uh, I'm not one way or the other. I hate it's happening, but I do think that Eli has some fault in the way this has gone down.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a little bit of pride and things of that involved in. I think that's on both sides. But from what I've gathered, they wanted Eli to be a part of it this year, maybe farewell tour type deal that you see some players do at the NFL level or the professional level. Hey, this is the last rodeo. And it sounds like they wanted him to be the color guy this year and Chris be the play by play, but to have the 8A game be the last time he does play by play. He chose to turn that down. That's for personal reasons. But I've seen several people make the statements of, hey, if you listen to games from a few years ago and then listen to games this past year, there was an obvious decline in the way that the games were called from Eli's standpoint. And that's because Eli has been through health issues. But I think they were going to try to give him a final swan song, let him go out just in a different role. And that's not what he wanted. And that's what Alabama fans have to accept. The university has to accept. And you move forward regardless.
And I said there's two sides to every story, but Curtis Moore second says it's three sides, and he's probably more right than I am. There's Eli's side, the university side, and the truth. The reality of it is, everybody said they should have given him a chance to do a tour. There is nowhere where they should have to hire you and pay you your contract when your contract is ending. Everybody needs to understand. Unfortunate, Justin X, is this. The perfect storm happened, unfortunately, in this case. Eli has been sick and battling to get back healthy. And unfortunately, that may have impacted his ability last year. Okay, that may have very well impacted his ability. I didn't listen to any games last year on the radio, so I can't speak to it from whether he slipped or not, but I've heard some people say it was different. And then when you compare a home game to road game, that Chris was better. I've heard that. So when I look at that, you look at that side of it, X, and then you come back and say they should have offered him something. Well, his contract was ending, and instead of just non-renewing him, their words were we wanted him to be a part of the broadcast team, which could have been pregame, postgame, could have been color, could have been, he was the third guy in the booth. It could have been anything. I don't know what it was. And neither did anyone else. But they did honor what he had meant to the university by not just non-renewing him, which was their right. Ultimately, whatever the terms and conditions of the contract, they did not agree. Now, if Eli, after 35 years of calling football, 36 years at the university, felt it was beneath him to do whatever they asked him, that's his prerogative. If the university felt like that the standard that they want to start this new era with, or the standard that they want for Alabama broadcast, Eli could no longer do that, that's their prerogative. But they did try to offer a way for him to still be engaged. And it didn't say this year. It said for years to come and to celebrate. What does that mean? We don't know. Maybe we'll get to hear the other side of the coin and make that ultimate thing. But retirement is tough. And some people try to get technical on me. Well, he didn't retire because he's still announcing. Well, that's just like, my high school coach retired from coaching Cherokee County and went over and coached in Georgia. Well, he retired. My high school quarterback coached Piedmont to numerous championships. He retired from Piedmont. Now he's coaching at a private school. Just because you don't keep doing the same thing at the same place, Eli go retired, forced out, or quit, whichever way it is. Unfortunately, we're not going to have Eli Gold in any capacity. And everybody says how Eli, if they loved Eli, they would have given him more. Well, I would say the other side. If Eli loved you and us as the fans, he would have given us one last chance to celebrate him too. And I'll leave it at that. We'll be back on the other side as we keep the conversation rolling on this free-for-all Friday.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We always hope for the best on the Friday morning drive in particular, and we seem to be getting it for the moment. We aren't watching any major accidents or breakdowns or heavy interstate backups on the board. McFarland Boulevard from Coker, passing up Lurling Wallace U of A to the I-20 interchange, and the drive on 2059 both remain in good shape at this early hour. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature-Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature-Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature-Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
If you have an unsightly crack on the walkway leading up to your house, maybe your front porch or your back patio, take care of it. It's affordable. Our friends at APS will do that for you. Alabama Professional Services, 4th-generation family business. They will come over. They'll do a free inspection. Again, affordable. Get a free estimate from APS. Contact them at alabamaprofessional.com, alabamaprofessional.com. They'll also take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service. Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
We'll forecast a clearing sky today. Tuscaloosa's high 68. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 44. The weekend will be dry. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. The high tomorrow 62. The high Sunday in the upper 60s at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Richardson behind the quarterback. McElroy looks right, throws the screen left. Julio left side. He's behind the defense. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 73 yards. Touchdown! Handoff. Henry up the middle. He breaks free. He's going to go on a 4th and inches. Touchdown, Alabama. Derrick Henry up the pipe. 37 yards for the Foster in motion. Here's the inside give. Derrick Henry, he's in the secondary. 30. Nobody's going to catch him. 10, 5. See ya. Touchdown, Alabama. Gilbert, the quarterback. Utah shovel pass in the middle. Picked up by Darius. Marcel Darius. Darius to the 15. He spins to the 5. Touchdown. Touchdown. Marcel Darius with flags on.
You know, that's... as you look at what's happening in Alabama football in this season we're in, Justin, that's what everything that should be happening right now. Every time you turn on the radio that's talking Alabama sports, they should be playing clips about that. But instead, we're having conversation like I just had prior to the break about who's right, who's wrong, and whose ego got in the way and whose didn't. And that's very unfortunate. Any thoughts on that before we get to a couple callers on this free-for-all Flashback Friday?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at some of the calls that he had, it's amazing the opportunities that we got to hear from Eli over the years. We talked about it yesterday, and the whole situation is just unfortunate as a whole that it's ending like this, because I would have loved one more year, just one more year, 5 more years, whatever they had planned or whatever. I wish we could have heard a little bit more of Eli, and I wish it didn't have to end this way.
Yeah, a couple callers. Timothy M. Robinson saying our endings are so difficult to orchestrate. I'm sure Saban wanted to retire after winning it all. Rodney Anderson saying, you said what I couldn't because you have mastered the words lesson in dignity 101. CJ Watson said, I know I hate the circumstance at the end of Eli's contract. This season, Eli was an audio shadow of his former self. It was great to hear him on the call, but he was not the same. And both parties are in a tough spot because of all of those circumstances. And it makes for an ugly, arguably embarrassing PR moment for both parties. Bam Bam 72, the whole deal is just unfortunate from a fan perspective. It's tough to see a Bama. On the flip side, from a business perspective, I can understand the university's decision. In Blind Squirrel Sport, a dog fan said I might be a dog, but Eli Gold was always one of the legendary voices in college football. Although I don't have fun memories of hearing him yell touchdown Alabama, I wish him the best. And as I close out with this, Eli's circumstances, unfortunately, were the perfect storm. His contract was ending. He had been sick, and it probably impacted, ain't no problem. It had to have impacted the quality of his work. And Alabama is changing coaches at the time. There is no great time to change and replace someone like Eli. But at some point, I heard a guy on Wimpenberry's show, Justin, and you probably heard him. I can't remember his name. Tom Hart. Tom Hart said that he got promoted. He was the Chris Stewart of this story. He said, when I got promoted to this job, he didn't say where or what. He said I was replacing a really, really good guy, a legend. And he said that guy didn't like it. He said, I felt like I had earned it. But the guy told me, he said, just know and remember that one day this is going to happen to you. Right? Wasn't that yesterday that Tom Hart said that, Justin, on Wimperberry?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Hart made a good point with that.
I mean, it was really, I love that. That was really, really, I was like, man, that dude, he gets it. And that's the way it is for every great player. LeBron James' day is going to come to an end. Tom Brady's day came to an end. Michael Jordan's day came to an end. I mean, it just does. And it's so, man, it's heartbreaking and it's unfortunate. But let me tell you something. This could have been handled differently. Maybe they could even, or maybe they did have an agreement that they would use the word retired. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. But something happened, and I wish it had been announced and then Eli waited a little bit because he's probably a little raw right now. But I can't tell him what to do. University, maybe they could have worked out the release better. But, part of my job and role is PR and community affairs and community outreach. Both of these owed it to each other to have handled this better. But ultimately, the university has the right to non-renew. And if they offer you something in negotiation and you've lost your clout and ability to negotiate to get what you want, one of the best running backs to ever play the game, in my opinion, left the game too early, and that's Shaun Alexander. But he was at a point in his career where he was an older running back, still playing at a high level, but could not get the deal he wanted. Or deserved, in my opinion, but he still had to go. Oh man, I hate it, but it's reality. All right, let's get to the phone lines. I had a couple guys waiting patiently. Let's go to J Rob. J Rob, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. Want to talk basketball in this crazy Flashback Friday, free for all Friday in Alabama sports.
Happy Friday and roll tide, gentlemen.
Hey, happy Friday, roll tide.
Roll Tide.
You know, I hate that Eli's historic, iconic career had to end such a way. But you know, just like you said, you know, everybody's career comes to an end. All the greats, as good as they are, it comes to an end. I hate that it happened this way in such a controversial way, and I hope everybody don't remember his career by the way it ended. I hope everybody will.
J Rob, and I'll say this. If Alabama fans go back now, I was not an Alabama fan when this happened, but John Forney went out in similar fashion, and we got past it. Um, and you know, so we got past it with ultimately with the guy named Eli. Ultimately,
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of John Forney and the way he went out, and you know, everybody loses a step. You know, I'm 60 now, and I can't do the things I could do when I was 16 and 20 and 30. But you know, he's lost a step. From what I hear, I normally don't get to listen to Eli. I'm usually at the games, so I don't get to hear it. You know, I didn't get to hear the home games last year with him. But you know, there's people that say that he's lost a step, and but I choose to remember him as his iconic calls and the good times that we had with him, and that's the way I'm gonna try to move on. I know that there's three sides of the story. You know, his side, their side, and the complete truth. So I'm just gonna choose to remember the good things, man.
all right, awesome. What else you got for us?
Hey, basketball. We got to go to Lexington, Kentucky this weekend and try to steal a big basketball game. How can we do that, Martin?
We're gonna have to go. X, I'll let you respond first.
Yeah, I mean, going to Lexington. For those who don't know, it was announced yesterday Muhammad Wagoo was suspended for the game tomorrow, but hopefully we get Latrell Wrightsell back for it. It's going to be a tough game. It's a tough environment to play in up at Rupp Arena. This team can do it. I really believe if Alabama wins tomorrow, we have a really good chance of pretty much locking up the SEC regular season. So hopefully Alabama can pull it through.
Yeah, you know, and I teased it. I said we need to go up there and disrupt Kentucky uh, in Rupp Arena. I think we're going to have to play a hard fought physical game. I hate that we lost Wagoo, but you know, maybe that gives Pringle even more of a chance to be the man, and he'll jump on top of that opportunity. We have to do what we always do. We have to hit threes, have to play extended defense, forcing them late in the shot clock, maybe get some steals and turnovers, and then do what we do: get off good shots early in the shot clock, rebound those long rebounds well, and just limit the turnovers. I know it sounds like a broken record, but that's the formula for Alabama. The last thing, they have to match the intensity and physicality of Kentucky. They have to match that. They don't have to beat it. They just can't let it punk them or push them around like what happened at Tennessee and at Auburn. Thanks, J. Rob. Appreciate you, man.
Hey guys, roll tide.
Roll tide, roll tide. Hey, come back on the other side. We got a couple callers we'll get to as well. This is the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. Remember Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Go check them out for lunch and dinner. And today is Friday, so it's Fish Friday. Even though I gave you Wing Wednesday on Tuesday this week, it's been a crazy week, so I'll just blame it on that. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling. You're tuned to Martin Houston and Xavier Houston on Top 100.9. And once again, go check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant LLC on Facebook.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Friday. We'll look at the Alabama-Kentucky game in the first hour. In the second hour, we'll take your phone calls and we'll talk to Coach Sonny Smith.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18VA-VS050, the ABA, and this station.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's the first for Flashback Friday, but been a whole lot of Eli. You know, two things there. That's the way I'm going to choose to try to remember. Going to try to remember Eli Gold, and for some of you who said you couldn't hear that, I apologize. That was the Reuben Foster hit against LSU and Leonard Fournette. I miss those days, X. I remember those days when we used to know who the next dog was going to be at inside linebacker because you could watch him on special teams. Kind of miss that. Real quick, your thoughts before we get to another call.
Yeah, I mean, once again, this entire thing is heartbreaking the way it ends, but Alabama has to do what they believe is best for the entire experience of game day moving forward. And I know Chris will do an amazing job stepping into this role. We've already seen him there, but to be the guy full time and know he is the guy, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, and I want to apologize to Chris Stewart because it may have come across that I was yesterday that I did not think Chris Stewart could do a great job and that he would be awesome and that he's earned this right. when I said, hey, did we do due diligence in replacing him? And sometimes, like, you know, he I guess he would be like the coach in waiting. He's been the announcer in waiting. So I want to apologize to Chris for insinuating that he doesn't deserve to be there. I've worked with Chris, and when Chris has done basketball, I love to listen to Chris in basketball the same way I think people love to listen to Chris. Eli in football, and I have not heard him call many football games just because the times when he's called it, I've not been listening. But he can bring you to the action in baseball, and he can bring you to the action in basketball. But in baseball, he probably can keep you engaged in football as well. So Chris will do a great job. And by the way, lost in all of this, and this is what I want to close. Well, I'm not going to say I'm going to close this conversation because there's a couple of people coming in. X. Here's the saddest part of this. There's a man who has been working and serving this university with an unbelievable dedication and passion. I don't know how long Chris has been doing what he does, but he has been serving this university with passion and purpose, waiting on this opportunity, not going anywhere else. And he's not gotten a whole lot of love from the Alabama fans. Because reality of it is, the next generation's Eli Gold is Chris Stewart. And there's a lot of people who are poo-pooing on him right now because they love Eli. But the reality of it is, it's time for a transition. That's what the university decided. Greg Burns has done pretty good in replacing people. I'm going to trust this. But there's a lot of people that's putting this back on Eli now. And I put up on my Facebook page, you can take all the credit in the world if you take responsibility for your own actions. Troy and Formanton said Eli clearly believes he's bigger than the University of Alabama, the athletic program, and the fans. He's out to do harm. Eli reveals who he is, and it's a narcissist. That's not Martin's words. That's Troy and Formanton. Larry Miller, also paraphrasing him, said he's a legend and well-deserved to be called one. Never forget the touchdown Alabama. That being said, last season wasn't the same, and understandably with his medical issues. Sometimes it's okay to say it's time. Thank you for your dedication and love for Alabama, Eli. Do you, and you'll do it with the greatest you gave Alabama. Time to bow out gracefully, and hopefully there'll be healing to this relationship so we can celebrate the GOAT of the mic, the golden voice of Eli Gold. We thank you. We appreciate you from the Martin Houston Show team and from Martin Houston personally. Chuck Hunt, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind?
Good morning to you all. I'm just chiming in on what you all have been talking about. Yesterday, I was talking about all the names that Eli Gold and be on the list of great announcers, and another one I forgot to leave off. Town not far from you all, Jack Crystal from Mississippi State. One thing that Eli Gold has that he, in his corner is that he's done a national championship called. Jack Crystal didn't get a chance to do a national championship call because Mississippi State didn't win a national championship in any sports until a few years ago they won in baseball. But Jack Crystal was passed on. He didn't, like I said, while he was there, he didn't get a chance to do a national championship call. And also, you're talking about announcers leaving. I found out yesterday, 30 miles west of me, at Louisiana Tech, Dave Nitz. He was the voice of Louisiana Tech for 50 years. He's going to be doing his last broadcast this baseball season. He's 80 years old. He's done it for 50 years. And Mr. Nitz has had health challenges as well. I think the way Nitz is going out, he's going out the right way. He, like I said, baseball season is going to be his last time at the mic. He did football, basketball, and baseball for years.
Yeah, and thanks for that. And that brings me to a great point, X. What would it have been like if Eli had been calling A-Day for the last time. Now, nobody may have been in the stadium because everybody would have been on the radio, but anyway, just kidding. But seriously, it's sad. Philip, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning. My question is this, and it hadn't really got anything to do with, the personalities, I don't think, but were Eli and Chris in their role as broadcasters for the university, were they employed by the same entity or different entities?
I do not know. I do. Well, as far as employed, they both work for CTSN, Crimson Tide Sports Network.
So
the university has a right, has a contract, and so yeah, go ahead. It's university and CTSN that work in conjunction, but
yeah,
they're contracted with CTSN, if I understand it correctly, and Eli is contracted through CTSN, who, if I'm not mistaken, is it Learfield Sports that owns them? Or IMG? Now I can't remember which one. It's
Learfield.
One of them.
It used to be Learfield. I don't know who does now.
Is it Learfield?
Right,
Still Learfield. Yeah.
It's still Learfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess what I'm getting to is, they get ready to do all this, and the university saying, well, we want to remove Eli, from the broadcast team. And will you guys let him know that? But we want to elevate Chris to the football. It's just clumsy. That seems very, very awkward for CTSN or whatever they're called. That seems, that had to be a bad day for them.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the guys over there, and none of this was easy for anyone. And see, here's the thing: we don't know how things were handled. I'm just telling you. Let me say it this way: I'm a pastor, Philip, and man, I have gotten some stories. Man, and I teach my team when the other person's talking, you look them in the eyes. You do not nod yes in agreement, and you do not nod no or shake your head no in disappointment. You look at them, you listen to their story. And as they make their accusations against someone, you listen and you say, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the other side, or we can stop the conversation right now and go get the other side. And it's amazing how many times it just sounds different when they're either in front of the other person who can immediately disagree, or when the other person tells their side. That's why people are trying to. That's why I'm like, man, one person came out of the agreement talking, or the decision talking, but listen to his own words. And like I said, I love Eli, but his own words on Ryan Fowler of the game, which is here, when Ryan said, "Was there an offer made?" He said, "I'd rather not get into the details of it," and that's his prerogative, right? But there was a counter offer made. What that entailed may not be what he wanted. But their words were, we wanted to celebrate him. That's what everybody's upset about. The way they celebrate is 100% on the university's prerogative. And he didn't like the way they wanted to celebrate his career. No one deserves, like if I go to work today, my boss, and it could happen, could say, hey, Martin, I appreciate what you've done, but I have an opportunity to move forward, and I think moving forward, we can maintain where we're at and possibly go higher. I have to get up and strap my boots on and go get another job or retire.
Yeah, and I'll say another thing too. In the radio business, I mean, this is not that uncommon.
No, it's not.
I mean, it is not. It hurts, and it might sting, and it might disappoint some people, but it happens. I mean, it's pretty frequently you'll read about some person that's been employed with a radio station in some far off city for 30 years, and they're told to clean out their desk, and it's over. It happens.
And unfortunately, it happened.
It happens every.
And unfortunately, it happened at this time when everything else was going on. Unfortunate. Thanks, Philip. Let's get to Raymond real quick. Raymond, thanks for your patience. You're on with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
I'm wondering if you remember Simpson Pepper, the PA announcer for Legion Field, and Brian Denton that Coach Brian hired, and how they dismissed him. It'd be interesting if he's still alive, or maybe contact him and talk to him. But the university is known for not treating people properly, but it just goes with the territory, you know. The big thing is to get your money as much as you can. You can love the university and the place, but not realizing the fact that they'll put the red hot poker up you is a bad move. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Raymond. Hey, coming back on the other side. Hey, listen, unfortunately, big organizations can't always come out and justify their actions. In wise counsel would tell them, don't get in a public pissing contest because if this person attempts to sue, you said nothing. And that's kind of where we're at, I believe. The other side, we may never hear Alabama's side of the story. Who knows that this decision wasn't made and this contract has been being negotiated all of last year, and they told him this would be his last hurrah last year. We don't know. That could have easily been said, X. And we'll get back. You got anything before we get to break? And then we'll do a little rapid fire on the other side.
No, I mean, it is what it is, and you just wish it would end better. You know, all great things have to come to an end. Coach Saban retiring, Eli Go going out with Coach Saban. I think pretty awesome, sweet. But yeah.
Could have been sweet. 2 GOATs at one time. I wish we did it the right way, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened that way. And who's at fault for that? Probably a little bit of both. But we definitely thank you, Eli, and celebrate what you meant. And thank you for what you've meant. Come back on the other side. We'll have a little rapid fire on this Free for All Friday.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have picked up a couple of early morning accidents. One of them is starting to cause a little trouble here. This is going to be on eastbound 2059 at the Black Warrior River Bridge. Looks to be a little before Joe Malisham Parkway. Crash there that is starting to cause a bit of a backup. Not a long one yet, but there is some braking starting to develop there. Now, the other crash is further east in the Coaling area. This is eastbound 2059 at Daimler-Benz. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. The executive board of the United Auto Workers is pumping $40 million over the next 2 years to fund its union organizing push among non-union auto workers and electric battery workers in Alabama and across the South. A UAW website video claims more than 30% of the Mercedes workforce is backing the union effort here in Tuscaloosa County. The union's goal is to sign 75% of the workers at the Tuscaloosa County plant. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Friday. We'll look at the Alabama-Kentucky game in the first hour. In the second hour, we'll take your phone calls and we'll talk to Coach Sonny Smith.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
We've all felt the impact of rising food prices. For families in poverty, they're facing malnutrition and even death. You can feed a family for a month with your $50 $1 donation to Compassion International. Just text the word radio to 97646.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Now Griffith's kick. It's a low kick. It bounces. It is taken by Fournette. He'll have to reach back and grab it at the 5. The clock has expired, and he is drilled and put down by Alabama's special team. Foster with a magnificent hit as the half and regulation will end the snap. They fake the give. Coker under pressure. Escapes one man. Escapes a second. Rolls up and throws towards the end zone. Touchdown! Ardarius Stewart after Coker absorbed the hit and then got around another man. 34 yards. What strike. What a play. And Alabama takes an 18-6 lead.
And that is the great Eli Gold calling the play where Reuben came into our life, and then, of course, Coker, who led a national championship team, throwing the touchdown to Ardarius Stewart. Unfortunately, it's happened, but we're going to try to move on past that. X, just a little rapid fire, man. Crazy week in Alabama sports. Started off with coaches in, coaches out, but also two players. Talk quickly about those guys, and we'll bring them into next week's conversation as we talk about Alabama's SWOT analysis for spring practice. We'll start that conversation next week.
Yeah, when you look at Keon Sabb, the safety from Michigan, big-time player. He started last year off in a backup role with injuries taking place. He was able to step in, make some big plays, had 5 starts, 3 interceptions, really productive player, and I think he's going to be a great fit for what Kane Womack wants to do defensively. Adds a little versatility. Where do you play him? Where do you play Malachi? A lot of variations you can do with the two of those guys with their skill sets. Also, Josh Caveas, the tight end from Washington, didn't have a big role last year, 4 catches, but averaged 41 yards a catch. But he was absolutely phenomenal as a redshirt freshman at Cal Poly, was absolutely a playmaker. And it's going to be interesting to see because it seems with this move, I don't know if you've heard Caleb Odom, the number 1 tight end in this class, is now listed himself as a wide receiver on his Instagram page. So does that mean Caleb is going to be our big body wide receiver, something that Alabama fans have kind of craved since Julio? Not saying he's Julio, but at 6'5", a young man who can end up being 225 to 235 at the end of the day and still keep his speed, I think is going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and Washington had a couple big wide receivers that did damage in terms of what happened. I mean, what they were able to do with their offense. And he kind of fits that big wide receiver role. So it'll be interesting to watch. We'll talk about that next week as well. Alabama heading to Rupp Arena. The Tide had a battle, Wednesday, managed to get, into overtime and didn't win. I talked about this team has multiple guys who can get 20 if Sears is off. It happened. Grant and Estrada goes for 20 great win. Can they keep it going against Kentucky?
Yeah, as you said, it was a great team win Wednesday night, and this is what you need to do. This is what you need down the stretch. You need great team wins, guys to step up. And Grant Nelson had his best game, in my opinion, in an Alabama uniform. So it bodes well, especially if you're getting right sailback, as I mentioned earlier, especially with Wagyu being out. Who steps up for his minutes in that role in this team? Can it be Nick Pringle? Can it be Sam Walters, who also had a great game? It'll be very interesting to see how Alabama plays it.
Yep, and when you look at it, Pringle getting 13 against Florida, chance for him to continue to establish that role. And if he continues to develop, this team's going to be a tough out in the tournament. Real quick, Coach Moore, a second, jumping back on your Caleb Oden said he could be a Mike Evans type. I've heard that comparison several times. Hey, X, we'll talk more about this as the EA game comes closer to being out. How was the EA Sports the reason for the current condition and the debacle of college football? I started thinking about it. They're going to be giving out $6.8 million to all of the eligible college players. So it's $6.78 million. Or if you add the value of the game, it'd be 7.5. That little bit of money from a $1 billion company, if they had just paid O'Bannon and just gave him something instead of going to court, the antitrust, it never goes to the Senate, none of that, will we be in a different state in college football? Think about that for a second. $7 million in a multi-billion-dollar business may have brought this whole thing to the condition that it's in right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's funny. And I don't know if who I need to blame, but I'll never forgive them for not getting to see Tua, Jalen, the ride out. So many great Alabama players, Bryce. The list goes on over the last 10 years that I didn't get a chance to play with those guys in the Alabama uniform on a video game. But once it comes out, you best believe I'm back on it.
I'm trying to figure out if they're going to give us old hands. Are they going to have any of the throwback teams? And if they do I get to ask for some money? Oh, hold on. Do I need to go to court? Because that's still my name, image, and likeness, right? No. But yeah, we may ask about that, because to me that one decision led to everything that we have. Hey, Bama's going to take care of Kentucky. Going to disrupt the Wildcats up in Rupp Arena. We'll be back on Monday with Kenneth Smith III on Alabama on Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WGBC. This is the Martin Houston Show. We'll be talking Bama hoops, and we'll begin our preview of Alabama football with Kenneth Smith III and you. Trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Have a blessed, prosperous, and successful day. Come visit us at Harvest Church.
Looks for a fade near side. Got it, Alabama. DeAndrew White touchdown. DeAndrew White touchdown on a 6-yard fade to the near side of the end zone. Pressure. They pick up the blitz. He looks, throws. Stewart behind the D. Up he goes. Makes the grab. Touchdown, Alabama. Oh my goodness. He skied for that one. Snap pressure. Picked up Alabama. Picked up the pitching. Touchdown. Kenyon Drake gets the toss again with lead blocking from Derrick Henry. Kenyon kicks to the near side. He's got speed. He's to the 40, down to the 30. He's to the 20. He's got blockers. He's going to go to the 3-yard line. Alabama first and goal. Officially from the 2. Here's the game. Derrick Henry walks it in over the left side. Touchdown, Alabama. Play clock, 2-1. They get the snap away. Slant, thrown, caught. Alabama first down. Cooper breaks the tackle 5. He's going to go. Touchdown, Alabama. Way to go, Shane Lyons. Welcome back to the booth, my friend. In motion. They look towards a crossing route, but in comes Ryan Anderson. The ball is loose. Hit Alabama. The Tides got it inside the 5-yard line. Ashawn Robinson. Gets the snap, pressure, screen, Yeldon, 30, 25.
Make a man miss.
Right. He's gonna go! He's gonna go! Touchdown! T.J. Yeldon! T.J. Yeldon on a screen, 28 yards. No flags. Alabama in what could be one of the epic comebacks in Crimson Tide history takes a 20-17 lead with the extra point to come. 51 seconds remaining in the ball. reaction is, I don't know who voted me in, but they must have been, I don't know what they were thinking. It's a wonderful honor. It's very humbling, but, you know, I don't envision myself as a Hall of Famer, you know. Guys like Walter and Ruthie and these athletes, those are Hall of Famers. I'm just the conduit of information. You know, the only way I'm supposed to get into a Hall of Fame is to pay my way through the turnstile. So this is just totally unbelievable to me.